Hello and welcome to my tier list for the Prelude corporations in Terraforming Mars. I already made a Prelude corporations tier list in 2021, but not only has the meta for competitive play changed quite a lot since then, but also I've gotten better by a bit. Also, this video is a follow-up on my base game corporations tier list that released roughly 2 months ago, and that's where you already see the base game corporations ranked here. So check out that video first if you haven't seen it yet. They were ranked with base game, prelude and H&E in mind, and that's the basis of this video as well. The other expansions won't influence the rating, but I'll talk about how these corps perform with them as well, so you at least get the info. And lastly, before we start, please note that my placements are my subjective opinion on these corps, and if you feel that they are wrong, please leave a comment and we can discuss them. But let's go. The first prelude corp in alphabetical order is Cheung Mars. It starts with 44 MC, a building tag, 3 MC prod, and an ability to grant you a 2 MC discount on all building tags. In general, I think all of the Prelude corps are quite strong, and Cheung Mars is no exception. In my opinion, it's a quite boring corp that has a ton of small bonuses that add up to a lot. 44 MC is average, but CSM is one of the only corps with MC prod for free. I think its 3 MC prod is better than the Titanium and MC prod you get with Saturn Systems, for example, just because it's much more flexible. Then you get an ability that grants you a 2 MC discount on the most common tag in the game. Compare this to Thorgate, for example. Sure, its discount is a bit stronger, but A, there are much less power tags, and B, power tags are a lot less diverse. While they only grant power prod, building tags do a variety of things like drawing cards, granting prod, or scoring points. This discount together with the building tag on the corp itself makes you one of the best corps for builder. On the other maps, you also have a bonus on specialist and contractor. But in general, your MC prod and your ability often allow you to build a pretty strong economy. That's why I think CSM should join Ecoline in A tier. They are completely different, but both pretty strong. The other expansions do not pose a problem for CSM whatsoever. In general, playing with Venus Next, Turmoil and Colonies makes the game longer, and CSM has absolutely no problem with that. In Colonies, you'll love that you get a discount on a lot of power prod cards that are building tags at the same time. And in Turmoil, you should probably support Mars first as much as possible. But on the other hand, the expansions decrease the percentage of building tags in the deck by quite a bit, and that's definitely something CSM does not like. Next up, we get to talk about Point Luna. It starts with 38 MC, a Titanium prod, an Earth tag, and a Space tag, and its ability allows you to draw 1 card whenever you play an Earth tag. This means you immediately draw 1 free card due to the Earth tag on your corp. In the base game corps tier list, I already talked about power creep, and with Point Luna it's in full effect. This corp is insane. Cards are the most limiting resource in the game. You are only guaranteed the 4 cards you see in the draft each gen. If those are bad for a few gens in a row, you will likely lose the game. With Point Luna, you get free card draw on one of the best tags in the game that is even rather common. And not only does this ability grant you more cards, it also makes those Earth tags that you see much better, so you end up with more and stronger cards. This also creates very difficult draft decisions for your opponents. Do they cut an Earth tag or pick up a strong card that they would have otherwise liked to keep? In the end, if they decide to cut an Earth tag that they do not keep, but you can make use of the card you got instead, it's a net positive for you. Economy-wise, Point Luna has a rough start, but the Titanium prod and free cards can allow you to catch up sooner than you think. In terms of milestones, Point Luna does only get a significant bonus on Planner. But in total, I still think this corp is busted and one of the strongest in the game. To me, there's no question it should land in S tier. It's not as rich and flexible as Critical and Director, but it has by far the strongest ability. In total, I think the expansions all help Point Luna quite a bit. They make the game longer, but with a slow start and lots of free card draw, you definitely like longer games. With Robinson Industries, we have the weakest corp of this expansion, and this already tells you a lot about the quality of the Prelude corps, because Robinson definitely isn't bad. It has okay starting capital and an ability that tends to be overrated by newer players and kinda underrated by experienced players. It starts with 47 MC, no tag, and an ability that allows you to pay 4 MC to increase one of your lowest productions by 1. Other than its ability, Robinson doesn't really offer anything, so you gotta use that to the absolute maximum. But if you do, then it's definitely quite useful. Whether it be for just increasing your steel or titanium prot in the early game for some development, your power prot to be able to play power-hungry cards, or your heat/blend prot to be able to terraform more effectively. Of course, at some point in the game you should stop using your ability since it won't pay off anymore, but up until then you can make sure to be an economic powerhouse with flexible production all around. In terms of milestones, Robinson is the absolute best corp for claiming Generalist, but has basically no other bonuses. All of this makes Robinson a B-tier corp in my opinion. I'm never sad to see it in a draft and it's very flexible, but there are certainly some stronger corps. The expansions do not really change much. Of course, in colonies you get 1 power prot guaranteed, and if you can combo this with something like geothermal or peroxide, then you saved 7 MC in comparison to other corps that would need to SP in this situation. The longer games with all expansions also make your ability a bit stronger since you just get more turns of production compared to the base game plus preludes. Next up, I get to talk about my favorite corporation in all of Terraforming Mars. Valley Trust starts with 37 MC, an Earth tag, and an ability that grants a discount of 2 MC on all science tags. Of course, and probably most importantly, you also draw 3 preludes as your first action, of which you get to keep 1 for free. This free prelude is the main reason to play Valley Trust. You normally expect a prelude to be worth roughly 21 MC, since that's what the tagless donation grants, and that is pretty much the most average prelude you can get. Even if you keep that, you basically end up as a corp with 58 MC and a discount on science tags, which is definitely quite nice. But keep in mind you do not randomly draw a prelude, you actually get the choice out of 3, meaning that you get a better than average prelude most of the time, and most importantly, one that fits your start. Not only do you already know your starting hand at that point, but also that of your opponents, maybe in their first 2 actions. That enables you to adapt to whatever has happened so far, and is definitely one of the strengths of Valley Trust. There are also some tricks you can pull off with this, like trying to draw into Smelting Plant to play methane from Titan in Gen 1, or much more prominently, trying to find eco-experts when you have kelp farming, or trees on hand. I love this bonus, not only because I think it's really strong, but also because it makes every start different. Valley Trust feels like a completely different corp every game, and that makes its replayability like no other corp. In terms of milestones and awards, Valley Trust does not have a specific advantage, but the free prelude can really help out on all of them. I mean, you could get Rim Settler turn 1 with Galilean Mining, IO Research Outpost and Research Network. I mean, I don't say you should, but you could do that. All in all, I think Valley Trust is an A-tier corp, and most importantly, it's really fun. It also fares well when playing with the other expansions, as it's quite good in a long game with its science discount, and can sometimes high roll when playing with colonies and find power prot with its extra prelude. And then the last corp of today's video is Vitor, another powerhouse. It starts with 45 MC, an Earth tag, and it forces you to fund an award for free as your first action. Also, its ability grants a 3 MC rebate on all non-negative point cards, meaning that you effectively start with 48 MC, since Vitor holds a point symbol as well. This corp might just be the best corp in the base game plus preludes, and it's all due to its ability. A 3 MC rebate on all point cards is absolutely insane. In the early to mid game, it can allow you to effectively play marginally good point cards that also grant some development. Natural Preserve, for example, is already really good, and it just becomes busted for Vitor. Normally bad cards like Red Suits or Dust Seals become playable options, especially if you draw them for free, and therefore you can get much more out of terrible drafts than other corps. And then in the late game, when you normally only want to play point cards anyways, this ability allows you to perform crazy turns, where you get out multiple cards more than you have any right to. This makes Vitor one of, if not the best corp for a long game. It can perform well in a rush, but you'll play only a fraction of the point cards you play in an engine setup, so it's definitely not one of the strong suits of the corp. In terms of milestones, it doesn't really have a pronounced strength, but it's one of the only corps that can pull off a tycoon fund rather effectively. Awards are an important topic for Vitor, as you have to fund one as your first action. I would nearly always go for an engine award like Banker or Scientist, but your starting hand or your opponent's corpse can definitely change that. If I start off the game with NRA and Protected Habs, then I will certainly fund Landlord or Cultivator. After all of this, it should come as no surprise that I place Vitor in S tier. It's insanely strong, even if it's maybe a bit boring. At least the award decision at the start of the game is quite interesting. Vitor, of course, is really good with all expansions as well. I repeat myself, but the game gets longer and favors an engine playstyle, so Vitor thrives in this environment. And that was it. All Prelude corporations ranked together with the base game corps. Do you agree with these placements? And if not, definitely let me know in the comments what you would change and we can discuss it. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, or interesting, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Also, please check out my Twitch and my Twitter, which are linked in the description. Have a good one and see you in the next video.